Housekeeping.
It's going to happen sooner or later.
Welcome to A More Philly Union, the podcast where we swear to talk about the Philly Union, the whole Philly Union, and nothing but the Philly Union with as few digressions as possible. We are your host. I'm Eric.
I'm C.
And I'm Paul.
All right, well, let's start off with a bit of housekeeping. Did you want to talk about the Apple stuff or housekeeping?
It was going to happen sooner or later. It's going to happen. Yes, we are en route to being an Apple podcast. So we are in that limbo phase where they have to evaluate us to make sure we have our fingers and toes and do their presumably monthly dance during the full moon and determine that we are okay to be on their network. So keep an eye out. We are coming to Apple soon.
Yes. Hopefully next week we'll be able to say, check us out on Apple.
Exactly.
That would be cool.
One interesting episode stat I kind of saw as I was going through, because we are now up to, this is episode 8. So I don't know, that's kind of cool. But I did see the one interesting stat that seems to come out with each episode or identify with each episode is the ones where I host or I do the driving, if you like to say, or the longer ones. The one where Paul hosts, they're shorter and more efficient. So apologies to everybody, or you're welcome, everybody. I don't know which way you go on this.
Yeah, okay. Let us know which you prefer.
Yeah.
If we should go longer, we can do that. But our goal was around a half hour because we figured it would be a good target and, would keep people entertained. But if you want to hear more from us, that's not a problem too. As you can tell, we don't mind talking.
I will say that very much suits your personalities too. So it's appropriate.
Yeah. I'm of the school of why say in 2 words, but you can say in 20. So let's get to the recap. We are in week 8. So let's talk about the game leading into week 8. The Union traveled to Cincinnati.
I really do like the Cincinnati color combo. That blue and orange is pretty cool.
Yep.
I even said that if we didn't have our own team, this would definitely be Eric's team because that's your color combination.
That's the color palette right there. Yeah. The blue and orange.
And hey, it's Noel's cheer Jim's team.
Oh, that's right.
Colors as well.
Yeah, that is true.
And the Garmin team used to have blue and orange as their colors.
Now we're crossing into other sports genres.
Yeah.
Other obscure sports genres.
It's a sports multiverse crossover. So going into week 8, or I guess was it?
Yeah, week 7.
It's week 7. Yes.
Right.
So we're in week 8, but we're going to talk about week 7 real quick. So going into game 7 or week 7, Union were in 8th place. Our record 2-3-1. Cincinnati, impressive first place. Going into the game, their record was 4-0-2. And well, spoiler, I guess, right?
No,
this game did not go according to plan. One of my lines here on my notes, I just wrote "grr." So,
but hey, at least Blake got another start. He's getting a little healthier. They still were smart not to make him take any free kicks. Wagner once again missed, so they put Harriel out left this time instead of Real. Matt Real. It was Nate Harriel, and then it was still Glesnes and Elliott in the middle, and then Bizo out right.
Yeah,
and then was it this week that they rolled out the Christmas tree?
The 5-3-2 was this week. Yeah.
Oh, this was the 5-3-2.
Yes, a 5-3. So the defenders was Real, Harriel, Elliott, Glesnes, and Bizo.
Right. That's right. I'm blurred. I blurred it. And then that's right. And then the midfield 3 was Bedoya, Martinez, and Flock.
No, it was Bueno, Martinez, and Flock.
That's right. He sat Bedoya. He brought him in later in the game.
Yeah.
Bueno's first MLS start.
Oh, I did not know that. Cool. Yeah. I thought we were playing a trivia or a quiz here.
Man, can you tell I should have boned up on the game? I just wanted
to forget that it happened. To show how utterly different it was, and I won't want to cut. It's break the flow here, but apparently Jim did say he was very nervous about the starting lineup and changing it up as drastically as he did. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's right.
Finish what you were talking about.
No, I was just saying up top, Paul. I'm looking at my notes here. We had Sullivan and Donovan up top.
That's what it was.
So I like to think of that as the Boondock Saints up front.
Yeah, exactly. No.
But this is Elliott was back. So he was out last game because of yellow cards.
I want to say it was that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was some kind of penalty.
Yeah.
It wasn't an injury.
No. Also, kudos to Cincinnati. They had a attendance of over 25,000 at this game, and it was definitely a very enthusiastic crowd. So it was good to see that. I mean, not that they don't. It's always cool to see a big crowd show up at games. And then also I want to point out the ref was Ted Uncle again. He was the ref for the first St. Louis home game, and also. Again, talk about crossovers, just reference to our Uncle Ted. So let's get into the game. Who wants to start?
If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. It's kind of what I feel like. And, I will say, they did do a really good job defending. Depending on who you ask, it was either 3-5-2 or 5-3-2. I definitely felt like it was more on the defensive side. And despite the fact that I didn't remember the formation completely and who was in where, but it definitely looked very defensive in the first 60 minutes of it for sure. Like they just were doing a good job stopping any buildup. And anything that came close, they were able to snuff out before it got dangerous. I mean, I'm trying to remember if Blake even really saw more than 2 shots in the first half.
No. According to the stats, he only faced 2 shots in the first half.
Oh.
I remember when we were watching this, Christy, we were saying how I didn't feel a sense of panic or urgency or anything like that in the first half. I just felt like, there was a certain level of confidence I felt they had, at least for me as I was watching them. Because I feel like Cincinnati would attack, and like you said, Paul, with those 5 guys in the back, they were kind of diffuse the attack and then, push back or, try to do a quick transition or whatever. But yeah, the first half I was just like, okay, yeah, we're in this. I'm feeling confident, or at least I'm not worried. But Cincinnati definitely had the majority of the ball time in the first half, which is not anything that the Union can't handle. In fact, I think most games this season, the Union have not had the bulk of the possession, which I think suits their playing style. But it was really lopsided in the first half because I have the possession here at 75%. Cincinnati.
Wow.
They, to me, looked stronger in this game than versus Kansas City. They looked more stronger, maybe not quite the word, but more together. And definitely were, if they lost the ball, they were getting it back. They were making, I don't know, they just looked like they had it together more especially for being not the usual guys. Who were out there. I'm sure they play all sorts of things in practice, but for not being the people who are usually starting the actual league games, they looked stronger. And honestly, my impression was once they brought in the stalwarts, things started going downhill. So I don't know if it was just that, reversal of, but that's when things went sideways. I'm speaking broadly when I say that, but that was really when bad things started to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of that wasn't, I'm not so sure I'm putting it on, the fact that they brought in stalwarts that, you're talking about the sub where they brought in Gazdag, Bedoya, Ura.
Yeah. I'm not blaming those guys, to be clear. No. Not in any way. I'm just that it was just a timing I noticed. That's all.
Well, I think part of the reason for that was they had been playing so defensively the first 60 minutes, and now they got half of their team pushing up the field trying to find a game winner, and there was more of a disconnect between the defense and the attack.
Okay.
And so, that opened the game up.
Yeah.
It's not unlike what we kind of saw with Atlas, whereas, once one team decides to push for a goal, the other team starts finding opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of goals, do we want to talk about that goal? Because this was another weird, this wasn't another double VAR situation, but
oh yes,
right, because Acosta was coming in.
It's weird.
Yeah, Blake came out and kind of dove at him to kind of sweep the ball away from him and took out Acosta. But the ball, I guess Acosta still got the pass off. Someone, a Cincinnati player, took a shot. Glesnes blocked it, and then it deflected to another Cincinnati player who then put it in the net and scores. But then the ref was signaling for a foul. And I think it did go to VAR. And then they ruled it, I guess, denial of I don't know what the exact call was. It was denial of a scoring opportunity.
Blake, no, because if it was that, it would have been a red card for Blake. But it wasn't. Yeah, it was just a foul. Blake was called for a foul on Acosta in the box, because when he came out to make a play on it, he never actually touched the ball. He just took Acosta out.
That was my question then, because I was expecting a card coming out, but a card did not come out.
Correct.
Which I was really surprised. So,
yeah, and I didn't even hear the whistle. I almost felt like, why bother even playing the penalty kick? Just let the results stand.
Yeah, and actually, that's one of the questions that kind of bubbled up in my head. Like, can a ref just allow that play to continue and let that score stand? And does the ref have discretion to call it either way? Or when the foul happens and you call it, you have to just now?
I think if you're being absolutely by the book, he handled it correctly. Mm-hmm. Is it a little absurd? Yes. But if the whistle had gone, whether anybody heard it or not doesn't matter. If a tree falls in the forest, if a referee blows his whistle in the forest, no, but that's what I'm thinking. I think literally, letter of the law, he did the right thing. Mm-hmm. Was it absurd in the game? A bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in our favor in that it gave us a chance not to have that goal stand.
Right.
Yes. And Blake did dive the right direction.
Yes.
It even looked like he grazed it. Yeah. Possibly. It was a little hard to see, obviously.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that put Cincinnati up 1. And then kind of echoing a sentiment we've mentioned over previous episodes, Cincinnati then subbed in 2 former Union players, Santos and Ray Gaddis. And
they did make a comment that Gaddis is still the all-time minutes leader for the Union.
Still. And he hasn't been with us for at least like
2 years,
all last season and this season, right?
Right.
Yep.
He said Ali is coming up the curve, but I don't know if he'll beat him or not.
But this just dovetails with the that idea we've kicked around in previous weeks, and that is only the Union can beat the Union. And so Cincinnati took that to heart and like, okay, let's get our Union players on the field.
I did say when he came in, if Ray scores, we riot, but for different reasons.
I mean, super happy for him, but not happy that when he finally scores, it's against us.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it did look like a very good, defensive game, and Jim wanted the win, and I don't blame him. It made some good attacking substitutions. You kind of would have hoped it would have been enough, but once again, we kind of see the power of Martinez. I can't remember if Martinez was subbed out at the time of the goal or before that.
But when was he subbed out? He was subbed out right after.
Oh, okay.
And Carranza came in.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I wasn't real impressed with Donovan and Sullivan up top beforehand. I mean, they were certainly running a lot. You couldn't blame them for the effort, but they just didn't seem to get on the ball as much as Carranza and Ora tend to do. So, kind of disappointing.
There's a lot of and this is anecdotal, but there's a lot of online chatter. People are not fond of Donovan, and I don't know if it's fair or unfair. I really don't. But that there seems to be why are you putting this guy in thing? I haven't noticed anything egregious, but I haven't noticed anything that made me think, gee, he's swell either.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Just a sort of a note for the group.
Yeah, I've read some comments like that as well, and I would say that of the four of them, Carranza, Ura, Sullivan, and Donovan, I would put Donovan in fourth. Sullivan just tends to be a little more willing to get on the ball and take people on, and while that may not always be what you want out of your forward, at least he's confident and willing to attack. Donovan seems to make a lot of runs, but I don't necessarily feel like they're the right runs because he doesn't end up on the end of passes, it feels like. And that's just kind of what I've seen. Because, I don't understand why people would be down on him. I think he's still really young and he's still learning. So he could become really good. I mean, he's playing professional soccer, so there's a reason why he's there. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and hope that something comes out of it. Now, would I trade him for Burke? Yes. If I could get Corey Burke back, yes, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
He's the George McFly of the Philly Union. He really does look like Crispin Glover to me. And so we're just waiting for his son to come back from the future and give him a little more confidence so he can score some goals.
Once again, Christy wins the quote competition. No, I know.
Okay, so this was the game, and then I kind of lost it. I kind of lost patience with this season, and it's not at anyone in particular. I'm just frustrated, and I'm sure I'm far from the only one. I mean, it's foolhardy to think that because we did well last season, we will do well this season. It's like, the past performance is not an indicator of future gains returns or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So, but I did kind of turn into the Madeline Kahn character from Clue a little bit and just start screaming at the television for no reason. And I just, I lost patience, and I'm also losing patience with the fact that we're running this this other competition is happening.
Champions League.
Thank you. I always space on the name. Champions League is running at the same time. I literally don't know, so I could be wrong, but I kind of want us to flop out of that.
Out of Champions League.
Yes. And it is, potentially controversial opinion, because I know I was reading it was Brotherly Game. They've just changed their name to Philly Soccer Now, I believe. And they had the other opinion, like, well, at least we're doing well in that. And that's the important part. And I'm like, really? So maybe I don't understand. But I can remember hearing about English teams having to play, in Europa or Champions League at the same time, and how it could be very draining for their season. And I kind of, in my opinion, that's what's happening now. And in my opinion, I'd rather see us do well in the season. On the flip side, 60% of the teams are going into the playoffs this year, 62%. Yeah. So, and it's early days.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I don't know. I'm not convinced about the importance of this other. I mean, I always like to see the Union win, but I almost feel like I'd like them to not have to worry about that so they can concentrate on the season.
Yeah.
That's an opinion, but that's
I actually kind of agree with that. I posted on Philly Soccer page in the match review. It was like, we're now 20% of the way into the season. We're 7 games into a 34 game season, and we have 2 wins, a draw, and 4 losses.
And now 4. Yeah.
And, I get it. It's early, but I agree. I expected the Union to be doing better this season than they did last season. I expected that bringing everybody back would mean we wouldn't have this early season malaise where people couldn't connect with each other and didn't understand where they were running. I expected, I should say, I didn't necessarily expect all of the attacking pieces to be hitting at the same time, but I did not expect all of them to not be hitting at the same time. Like the first game, we got off to a great start. Carranza and Gazdag both got 2 goals. Yes, Gazdags were 2 from the spot, which I wasn't crazy about, but Carranza certainly looked dangerous. And then Ora got 2 goals in the game we lost 3-2 against, was that Miami? I can't remember now. But, he got 2 goals in that game. So I was hopeful that was a turnaround for him.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys have, Carranza and Gazdag haven't scored since the first week. Ora's only 2 goals were in that second week, or that one game. And then other than that, Torres has 1 against the Fire and Perea has 1 against Orlando. And that's it. There's Bedoya hasn't, I think he's had 3 shots all season. I mean, Flock has almost that many shots, and Martinez, I think, has that many shots. And it's very frustrating. And I get it. Yes, there's still 80% of the season to go. There's still, 27 games of the season plus the CCL. But going into Atlas at Guadalajara with a 1-goal lead, I don't think they're going to defend that. I'm hoping they will. I'm hoping that it's a 2-1 game in Guadalajara and we win it on away goals. But am I confident on that? No.
Yeah.
So, maybe you're right, Christy. Maybe that will be, they crash out of that. They spend a 2 weeks to recover from CCL hangover. And then we get back to actually playing well in the league, which would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of one of the thoughts that was going through my head after this Cincinnati loss was, at the beginning of the season, everybody, was picking Philly as a contender for MLS Cup. And, people say that, when they come to Philly, they got to bring their A game and all that. And after this Cincinnati game, and, it's funny, it's not that, I kind of want to sum it up in one superlative. Did we play well and lost? Did we play badly and lost? It's well, we just didn't play. It just wasn't good. I don't know. It's a poor way of describing a game, but it was what it was. I guess it wasn't that great. But anyway, after watching this game, I'm like, you know what? I mean, teams I'm wondering, are teams starting to look at the Union as, you don't have to take us as seriously now? We're off to a tepid start.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say our team's not taking us seriously now. It's is Philly not taking itself seriously now? It's the whole thing about everyone knows the Union's playbook, right? And that when they come, they kind of have to play their best. Well, it feels like it's starting to feel like everybody knows what we're going to do. So it's kind of, for me, ask the question, so what do we have to do going forward? What would we like to see in terms of, so do we need to see something new, or is it just we need to give this some time for the plan to congeal? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point in that, last year we just always rolled out that 4-4-2. Every game almost it was the same thing. And the team got guffed for not trying anything different. Well, maybe this was part of the reason why we didn't try anything different, because they weren't really good at doing those other things. And I don't know. I just know that I'm feeling frustrated that they're not getting the goals.
Yep.
If don't get me wrong, I love a good defensive game. I love a good when the defense really is owning the game and bossing the other team around. That's wonderful. It's really an interesting and fun way to watch a game. I don't know, the Union are generating opportunities, attacking opportunities. The ball is getting up the field. It's getting into dangerous spots, but for some reason or another, they just seem like they can't make that final shot. They can't get that ball off their feet in time, except for Carranza's, that first game where he basically twisted himself in a pretzel, reaching backwards with his feet to bounce it off the ground past the keeper. I mean, that was amazing. And that run that Torres slotted it, right through the defense for him to run onto was amazing. But except for those, there really haven't been maybe 2 or 3 other opportunities that have been that exciting.
Yeah.
Then you had in this last one game, there was a great layoff to Bueno and he ran onto it and then he just put it right over the net.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you, what you said earlier. Like, I really didn't feel worried about Cincinnati. Like, I never felt like the game was going to get away from the Union. And I felt like there was a goal there for them to get, but they just didn't for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, the end of the game, or towards the end of the game, when our starters were being subbed in, they were generating opportunities.
Right.
Even Bedoya got a shot on goal, which is not typical for tournament events for Bedoya. But yeah, it's just that final touch, that final shot, that just to finish. It's frustrating. Yeah, I agree. It's frustrating. So I don't know.
So should we talk about the game tomorrow night?
But
yeah.
Well, let's just wrap up. So the Cincinnati game ends 1-0. The possession, I noticed too, the Union at the end of the game, the total possession was only 35%, which was fairly low. I mean, Union goes low on possession, but that was very low. The other stat I noticed too, there was only 8 shots. Each team only had 8 shots. That's not even on goal. That's just 8 shots. And that's the lowest shot count for the Union all season. So it wasn't even that they were missing. It's just they just weren't necessarily even getting the shots off. But the Union did outshoot Cincinnati on goal shots 4-2. So yeah, frustrating game.
Yeah.
Frustrating game.
Yeah.
Oh, well, one little silver lining. I'll just mention this because I liked it. This was in the first half. Oh, sorry, second half. It was in the second half. At the 50th minute, Martinez got taken out. Someone. That's what he lunged for the ball. That's right. Yeah. So Martinez lunged for the ball, and he kind of pulled something on the inside of his thigh. But whoever, player 93 in Cincinnati. Sorry, I don't know the name.
Yeah.
But he was really attentive to Martina on the field, and he was signaling to the medical guys, like giving it like, hey, you may want to sub this, and he was kind of hovering around Martinez in a very charitable, compassionate. Maybe they do know each other, but I was like, hey, good on you, Cincinnati. Okay, so coming up next, we have the Champions League game tomorrow night. Union's going to be down at Atlas in Guadalajara, Mexico. Union go into this game 1-0. This will be an aggregate game. After the game this weekend, does anybody want to change your predictions for the Atlas game tomorrow night?
Well, I mean, I do think that the Union are going to roll out their best lineup that they can. They're going to play to win this. I don't know much about Atlas's stadium, but I got to imagine it's going to be loud. It's going to have a lot of people, a lot of fans there are making a good amount of noise, trying to really intimidate the Union players. Plus, I believe it's at altitude. It's like 4 or 5,000 feet up.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that the Union just headed straight down to Guadalajara right after the Cincinnati game and have given their bodies a chance to acclimate.
I heard that when they're flying down there, they're not even going to pressurize the plane.
So I'm not going to change my guess. I still do think it'll be a 1-1 game, but it's probably a lot of rose-colored glasses and maybe a bit of alcohol involved in that decision.
Well, if we're gonna have
mine. Or did I even give one?
You said the Union's gonna win 1-0 again and finish the 2-game aggregate 2-0.
I'm changing it.
Ooh, what do you think?
I'm saying Atlas 2-0. Let's end this.
Atlas, so they're gonna win 2-0 and take the Union out of Champions League.
Yep. I know this is tunnel vision on my part. I'm tired of it. It would be great if they could, but if this is just gonna keep sucking the life out of this season,
yeah.
I hope I'm wrong and on all counts, but I'm gonna go Atlas 2-0.
Okay, 2-0. Well, a winning season. There has to be a turnaround point somewhere
on this, aren't you? You are.
Well, actually, I thought of that line before you gave your prediction.
Okay.
So I'm going to stick with it. But yeah, a winning season has to have a turnaround somewhere. And maybe this is the week where it begins. I don't know. I had 2-2 from last week. I do think the Union's going to come out after that 1-0 loss at Cincinnati, that they're going to come out hitting. They're going to hit hard. So I think they're going to go for the goals, which maybe is not the best strategically now they say that out loud because they're already up 1. But I'm gonna stick with my 2-2. I think it's gonna be a slugfest. I hope it's a slugfest, to be honest. I want to see the Union get into a street fight of a game where they're just both sides are just landing punches.
To be fair, I would rather that too. It's just I guess I'm still a little angry.
Yeah. So for the Champions League, so this game right now, so this against Atlas, this is quarterfinals?
Correct.
Quarterfinals. Okay, so then we'll go into semifinals.
Against the winner of LAFC and Vancouver. And they played the first leg of that match in Vancouver. LAFC won 3-0.
Yeah. That would be interesting if we get past Atlas and then we go up against LAFC. Then I hope
that would be a different beast.
I hope that revenge is its dish best served cold. All right. Well, our next, so aside from Atlas this week, our next MLS game coming up will be on Saturday. Union are going to be at Chicago. It's at 8:30 p.m. on Saturday, just FYI. Also, I guess technically taxes are due on the 17th, but traditionally it is tax day.
Yes.
Chicago is coming off of a 2-1 win against Minnesota. They are currently in 6th place with 2 wins, 1 loss. And should read 3 draws, not 6 draws. So 2, 1, and 3.
Predictions?
This is the second time we're playing Chicago already?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
It happens sometimes. Yeah.
Because I started thinking about the lineup. I'm like, wait a minute. Well, Shabilko's with Chicago. Herbers is on Chicago. I was like, wait, didn't we already see these guys?
And Kamara. I thought Chicago just played Columbus. Let me do a quick look.
Yeah, double checking my notes. I had them playing Minnesota, and it was 2-1.
Maybe that was before this last match day because I believe they picked up Kai Kamara.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kamara, I remember I watched part of the game, and I remember seeing Kamara on the field.
I think he got a goal in the last game.
Kai Kamara is now with his 10th MLS team.
Yeah. Basically, at some point, he's just going to end up playing all of his old teams over and over and over again.
Amazing. Yeah. You called him sort of the journeyman gun for hire.
Yeah, he's a gun for hire.
Yeah.
And I know he's getting a little long in the tooth, but that guy I like watching him. I've always enjoyed watching him play.
At the beginning of the season, I honestly couldn't remember if we had him at some point because he's just everywhere.
Yeah, Chicago won 2-1 over Minnesota.
So it was Minnesota. Okay.
Yeah. Columbus played DC.
Okay. Well, do you want to any comments about the game or just jump into the predictions?
Kamara had 2 goals in that game.
When the Union played Chicago, when they were here in Philly, gosh, come on, brain. What was
I thought it was 2-1 win. That was the one where there was a red card. Remember?
Yeah, that was pretty early in the season where the soccer gods were bestowing many penalties and cards in our favor.
Mm-hmm. Many boons.
So someone obviously made the soccer gods upset.
They should really stop that. Yeah.
10 yellow cards.
That game had 10 yellow cards?
Yeah.
Chicago, Philly 1-0. Philly won at Super Park.
That was the last minute, not quite last minute Torres goal.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was that was the one where my mother texted me, not knowing I wasn't watching the game, and said, "When are they going to score?" And then a few minutes later said, "Never mind."
Is that the second Nancy reference so far?
I think so.
Season? So predictions, I guess. Let's just do that real quick. So the Union will have played in Mexico on Wednesday, and then now they're going to be in Chicago on Saturday. That's a lot.
I'm going to go 0-0.
They go for a 0-0 draw. Okay.
I think if they win or lose, they're going to be a bit of a hangover. So I could see Jim rolling out a defensive lineup and being like, just don't let them score, guys.
Yeah. I'm going to say 1-1 because I don't know. I feel like I've been playing that 1-1 card a lot, but man, I'm getting tired just talking about this.
I'm gonna be optimistic. I'll go 1-0 Union, but I am abandoning, you might notice, my 2-1 without ever getting it.
You know what that means, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna get 2-1.
It's gonna rain 2-1s this week.
Let's go. Let's go.
Good.
Let's hope so.
All right. So that's the Chicago game. Other topics. Right. Kai Wagner is reported healthy again.
Yeah, there was a quote from Jim on the Union website saying that he's healthy now. Jim didn't promise whether or not that meant that he was back in the starting lineup for the Atlas game. So we'll see what will happen. And I don't know if that's just because Jim wants to be conservative in his healing, or if he needs to get back to match fitness level. I don't think that'd be match fitness, but you never know.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's always encouraging, confidence building when Kai is back in the lineup.
Yeah,
it's good to have him on the wing like that.
He provides a little attacking options too. That left side gets pretty quiet without Kai running up that field up that side, because Flock doesn't bring a lot on the attack. Some, but not a lot.
Yeah, we need our attacking defender.
Yep.
Generation Adidas Cup.
So despite what the Union might be doing this year, at least the kids are winning lots of games. The Union, they sent a U15 squad and a U17 squad, and one of the interesting things is that over the years, Generation Adidas Cup has drawn a lot of attention. Like, it's not just MLS clubs and a couple of Mexican clubs. I mean, Arsenal sent their kids. Wow. Real Madrid sent their kids. Wow. Manchester United, Manchester City. I mean, this is becoming a real top class competition for all of the big developmental clubs. And the Union had both of their both of their teams, their U15 and their U17, advanced to the finals. It turned out they both of their teams faced off against teams from Austin, LAFC, but apparently the Union beat Arsenal's club like 4-1 or something like that, and they beat, I think it was River Plate, like 6-0. The U17's team only gave up 2 goals the entire tournament, and it was really well played.
Wow.
Does anyone want a promotion to the actual main team?
Yeah, well, it's soon enough.
I'm kidding. I haven't lost the faith. I sound really cranky. Sorry.
Yeah, there's the term Negadelphia. It's coined for a reason,
right?
Yeah,
right.
But at least the U15s, they made it to the finals. They had a lead, I think, in the final game, and then they ended up going to PKs and losing in PKs. The U17 game though, they actually won it. For the second time in the Academy's history, the U17 team has won the big award for this tournament. And we had 2 players named to the tournament best 11. One of them was a kid named Kruger, and the other one was Quinn Sullivan's younger brother, who by all accounts is, if he sticks around for, I think he's 14 now, if he sticks around for 3 more years and gets a shot at the Union, that would actually surprise people. The expectation is he's going to be snapped up by one of the European clubs well before that, because apparently there was like a who's who of scouts from the different European clubs at that final, and they were all commenting on Sullivan.
Wow.
His name's like Kavan Sullivan or something like that.
I mean, for me, this is kind of one of the things I do. Well, one of many things I enjoy about the Philadelphia Union is the whole youth program they have, and it's just turning into this pipeline of talent, and either we develop our own players or we develop players to sell off to other teams. It's just this really nice resource that either generates players or money. And it feels like a very sustainable approach to running a soccer team. But yeah, I think it's really great to see it. And then them just winning this, the Adidas Cup is, again, one more feather, one more check mark here of, keep going. I wonder if other MLS clubs look at the Union who didn't necessarily pursue a rigorous youth program, and they're realizing that, maybe that's a good way to go. But although with our standing, one can make the argument, but hey, we are only 7 games in, still got some time here.
It'll be interesting to see if more and more, if like you're saying, the scouts are coming and watching, if more people get siphoned off before they make it to the Union.
Yeah.
Yes. And the other thought is that if players know if they go through the Union Academy, they're going to get visibility, then we're going to draw in players from a wider, more aggressive or better players basically are going to show up for the academy because they know they're going to get looked at by other bigger clubs. And, that's going to be good for the Union in the long term, hopefully. Hey, a little bit of good news. Hopefully the main squad will come back with some good news as well after tomorrow night's game, and then hopefully something good out of Chicago as well.
Yeah. I think we need some good news.
Yeah,
we need something.
Yeah,
agreed.
Okay. I don't know if Chicago is still the second most Polish populous city in the world, but maybe we can get a Smingus Dingus celebration going next weekend.
Okay, well, anything else we want to talk about?
I think we've covered it.
All right. Well, if you want to get a hold of us, we have plenty of ways you could do that. We have our website, amorphillyunion.com. You can email us at pod@amorphillyunion.com. We're on Twitter, AmorphillyU. Instagram and YouTube is AmorphillyUnion. You can get us on the podcast anywhere you get your podcast, and hopefully Apple's coming shortly once we hear back from them. So however you listen to us, make sure you, subscribe, like, notify, whatever, spread the word. And
press all the buttons,
mash all those buttons. So thanks for tuning into another episode of A More Philly Union. We are your hosts. I'm Eric.
I'm C.
And I'm Paul. Go Union.
With as few transgressions as possible.
Transgressions?
Transgressions. Should I redo that?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Transgressions.